uh, because I would play all day, and it was really annoying. Even if we had a separate place for the piano, but still, and also because I was all day. If I could, I would do that, especially when I was 10. I remember exactly that age, that it was sort of discovery of many musical genres and styles and things that I said, oh, this is a complete whole universe that I can explore. So I would listen to albums all day and try to play what I heard. So at some point, my mother said, oh, that's great, but you're going to go to the club, to exercise, swimming pool, you're going to do other things. It's not only music.
So great to meet you on Zoom, Fernando.
Yeah, very nice meeting you too.
Thank you so much for the time. And yeah, because it's early morning for you now.
Well, I get up early. So early, I mean 5:30.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Do you have a morning routine?
Exactly, I do. Which is basically breathing exercises, meditation, and yoga asanas, the postures. That's how I start the day. And also with a little exercise.
Yeah, because for the piano and because you are very physical, I see behind the piano. It's your energy is amazing, but this is something we don't always realize, is that you as musicians, you also have to look after your bodies. It's a very physical things that you do.
Absolutely. Yes, I got to learn that, well, for any activity in the world, I need to be in physical shape. And I think that for most humans work very well to be connected with our physical side, with exercise, with the purpose is not only physical, I think it's for the mind as well.
Yeah. And do you find yoga helps you for that, or is helpful?
It's very helpful. And it's not only about the exercise, the physical exercise. It's also about the method, and it's the meditation. It's an excellent tool for me, and all the philosophy that it's involved around. It's something that enriches my life every day.
But how much
yoga
time?
not only as
No, sorry, carry on.
It's also sorry but there's a delay. I'm sorry if I interrupt you sometimes.
No.
And it's also about peace of mind as a tool, not as a goal, as a tool to achieve peace of mind in order to do things much better.
Because also you have a lot of stress. Well, stress, I say stress not in a a way of you have to do practice a lot, and the music you have to put in a lot of time. So this side of does it help you switch off from what other things that you are doing?
I see. In my case, I believe it's not about switching off, but leaving the experience of doing, let's say, for example, practicing, studying, deepening the practice as well, or learning something new every day, which I believe is essential to be in shape and to keep myself alive. And it's not about distracting that part and, let's say, trying to live a parallel life, where I have to switch between two sides. It's more like having a whole thing where everything is integrated in harmony. So it's
beautiful.
not one thing or the other. It's everything all together, but trying to live it in a peaceful way.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. But now, Fernando, you've got also a fascinating story, because your mum's was a very famous singer, and she taught you to sing first before you played the piano.
Yes, that's how I started with my voice, and my sister as well. You know, we didn't have an official training at the beginning. It was more about the babysitter. What we had the babysitting. Well, teaching us how to sing, and piano lessons as well, guitar too. So the toys for me were the piano and the guitar. And singing was part of everyday life in my place where I was born, and where I had my mother and my grandmother singing all day. So they were both professional singers. So they would sing every day, all day, all the time. And so it was something like our daily life involved the use of our voices for singing.
But what a beautiful family that must have been, or, you know, growing up with all the music. And were you also, because you played the piano and you say the guitar, and I think you played the accordion as well, what I read, is that true?
Yes, I also play the bass, the electric bass, not the upright, electric bass. Which is an instrument that I really learned to play when I was 13. And of course, I didn't have a bass player in my first group, which is a very common situation, you know, when you're 13, 14, there's no bass players around. I don't know why, but in general happens that no one wants to play the bass. It's like a football team and soccer, let's say in America, being the goalkeeper. It's something that it's a role that no one wants to have, you know. I don't know if it's a fact, but it's my experience that, and many friends mine have had the same experience, that it was hard to find a bass player, especially when you're 13, 14. Everyone wants to play the guitar or drums, basically. Those are the instruments. And I had a friend who was older than me. He was a much better pianist and keyboardist than what I could do. So I switched a bit to bass, and I had a chance to play my compositions, and I had a bass player, and I took the bass. So that's how I started with that instrument. And for many years, I was not playing it live, and also because of the music I was writing, it didn't really involve bass. Electric bass.
Yeah.
But I was always mainly a pianist when it comes to play instruments.
And the music you wrote, was that for the piano?
You mean when I was 13, 14?
Yeah.
It was for a group, like more standard group, like guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, and flute. That was the first. And I would write the thing that I write today. So I'm repeating myself for decades now.
Oh, really? But when did you start really focusing on the piano?
Never, because I started. Because I started playing when I was 5.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have the chance of thinking about the focus or not. It was something that I would do, you know, on a daily basis, and it was something that it was part of my life. Without thinking too much, without making a decision or having a crisis, what I'm going to do with my life. It's something that never happened. I mean, I have many other types of crises. You know, every 15 minutes, I have one.
Okay.
You know, or every half an hour I have a crisis about something. But that particular crisis is something I never had to overcome because it was tacit. It was what I do. I sing, I play the piano, I write music, and I never thought about, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a fireman.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, I always knew that I was a musician. And I don't know why. It's not something that I think it's great or not. It's just what happened.
But now, playing all these different instruments, do you think this made you play the piano differently? You know, that it was not just the piano that you had to think about. So, is there a way that you think these instruments all it's part of who you are now, of how you make music now?
Definitely. You're right. I never thought about that in that sense. And it's true. It really modified my way of seeing the piano, the perspective I have. And also the reason why I started playing other instruments besides the piano when I was a kid. It happened already when I was 10. It was that I wanted to play in the bathroom in the house.
Oh, okay.
The bathroom sounds fantastic. And I wanted to play in the bathroom. I remember the acoustics in the bathroom. So I wanted to play, especially when I was not allowed to play the piano. Because I was not, as a kid, I was not allowed to play the piano all day. Because I would do that. I would do that if allowed. But my mother and my grandmother said, okay, encourage me to play the piano. And they say, oh, why don't you play the piano? Oh, it's great if you play, it's great if you play this piece, this other piece. And at some point, they started encouraging me not to play so much, to say, could you stop? Because I would play all day. And it was really annoying, you know, even if we had a separate place for the piano, but still. And also because I was all day. If I could, I would do that, especially when I was 10. I remember exactly that age, that it was sort of discovery of many musical genres and styles and things that I said, oh, this is a complete whole universe that I can explore. So I would listen to albums all day and try to play what I heard. So at some point, my mother said, oh, that's great, but you're going to go to the club, to exercise, swimming pool, you're going to do other things. It's not only music.
But it's sorry, this is so, because usually parents have to tell children to go and practice, but they had to tell you to just do something else.
Yes, to stop. To stop, and as you say, to see other things in life that were happening. And I had a social life, of course. I went to school. I had friends. I would play soccer for fun. And still, I found music as the most important activity I could do. I remember being at school and thinking, oh, I'm looking forward to get home and to listen to this new album that I heard. And I also have friends who would be, say, living the same kind of life, you know, with obsession with music. And yes, they would bring albums to school, you know.
So what were the music that you listened to, the albums that you enjoyed listening to?
It was actually a very broad range of music styles. And I had friends. I remember I had my classical music friend that he would not get along too well with guys who would listen to rock, let's say, or jazz.
Okay. Yeah.
Jazz was kind of the middle ground. Yeah. But when I was 10, I had no friends interested in jazz, but in classical, I had, and rock. And also, we all had our, in my case, I have older sisters, and they would listen to music that I had no idea it exists because they were actually many years older than me.
Okay.
So they also had friends who were older than them and boyfriends. So there was a age gap, very, very large. Let's say they would be in their 20s or 25 when I was 10.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, yeah. So it's a big gap.
yes. So they would listen to music that it was already in the past, like, for example, prog rock, progressive rock. And it was completely old fashioned when I was a kid. It was already, part of the musical past for everyone. But for me, it was a great universe, and I would be happy, transcribing stuff and playing along with the albums. And then I got a drum set, just not to become a drummer, but I wanted to make noise, let's say. And also, it's exciting, to play drums, and I wanted to play drums when I was also 11 or something like that. And my mother would say yes to absolutely any request from me. So I was kind of, I was really spoiled. And I would say, Mom, I want to have a drum set. I want to explore the drums. And okay, she would get a drum set for me. And then I got everyone crazy.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah. So they found they made the adjustments in the house also to play drums, but it was very hard for them still because it could be hard no matter what.
Yeah. But amazing that you have this, but you had this interest in all the instruments. Because this must have also taken a lot of time to practice all these instruments.
Yes, of course. When it comes to, say, for example, the drums, and I took some lessons as well, but I was not intending to become a drummer. I just wanted to play just for fun, and in general, everything was always just for fun.
Oh, okay.
It became the center of my life anyway.
But now you're also a Grammy Award winner.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was for a classical album that you did.
Yes, the first one was a classical album, and it has pieces for chamber orchestra, violin and piano duos, and some other stuff there, like let's say medium-sized orchestras.
But now, this was now your classical album, but I see you play a lot of different, or it's almost as if you have a mixture of genres that you play.
Yeah, that started happening lately, much more, especially, and also the pandemic was was a starting point for that, because I started collaborating with musicians all around the world in different music styles. And in many cases, I have friends that I would never play with because for example, or a pop singer, for example. I have a very good friend of mine for many, many years. She's a singer from South Africa. She's British. And we have been friends, and not with Abigail, especially, but let's say in general with some people that we were friends, and we wanted to do something together, and they would never play classical or sing classical music or jazz or other things. They said, let's make music together. So what can we do together? Well, let's do a song. It's more like a pop song. Well, it is kind of. And at some point, I always find the crossover in everything that I do. Even if I try to escape from my patterns. Ultimately, it happens that I end up doing something kind of, let's say, an intersection between genres.
Yeah.
And before the pandemic, also, it was the same thing, that we started talking with friends and saying that we should make music together. We have to do something together. But I'm not going to play your classical stuff, they would say. So let's find something else. So, and that's why maybe it's, I don't know if it's confusing when it comes to define what I'm doing. For me, it started, or maybe for you.
No, not at all, because I find it so beautiful that you do that.
I see. I'm still digesting that phenomena of being, involved with people. But I got the encouragement when I was a kid. My mother said that I was a kid when I was 35 anyway. But
okay.
Let's say at 14, 15, I had a teacher, Italian teacher in Buenos Aires. When Buenos Aires is 75% Italian, Argentina is 75% Italian immigration. And so it's basically an Italian country.
Okay.
And very, very strange in mixes of Europe. It's all European immigration. There's no native population there. So it's Russians, of course, and Jewish people from Eastern Europe. That's basically the immigration. So, and that's why maybe the tango and some other genres and the German instruments like the bandoneon, became kind of the national instrument. Let's say, because the tango sound, it's the bandoneon.
Oh yeah.
And because it's all compounded by immigrants.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I have a French background, also Spanish. One of my 4 grandfathers and grandparents are.
Okay.
They are well. It's hard to find something like, let's say, more than 3 generations. Let's say in Argentine people, more than 3 generations.
Wow.
It's really hard to find. That's almost, they're nowhere. It's hard to find people. Yeah, we all have, in general, our grandparents are Europeans in general. Yeah. So that's how the population in that country was built. It happened that way.
Yeah.
I had an Italian teacher, but was very common, especially in the 80s when I was a kid. So I remember at some point he would quote many different, let's say, composers and performers. And I remember talking about Frank Zappa. Okay. And, for example, as an example of crossover styles, and Herbie Hancock was one of them. I remember when we heard Rocket, which is a very techno breakdance music, and I said, no way, this is Herbie Hancock. He said, who's this? Oh, Herbie Hancock. And he played music, not this guy, but some other guy. He played, and I said, wow, this is unbelievable. I thought he was only a jazz pianist, or he would play classical sometimes. I remember him playing the Mozart concerto with Chick Corea as a duo, but they were playing the same concert, but in 2 pianos. And I said, well, this is Herbie Hancock. And yes, and it was techno music, like a very, very, the machines sound, machine-generated music with synths and vocal. There are these the voices like singing like robots. And I said, wow. And then I remember having conversations about expanding our horizon. And being able to share experiences with other people, and also reinventing ourselves.
Mm.
And then I got to see an interview before the YouTube era. I got to see an interview Herbie Hancock was playing, that was MTV, and he was saying that, well, I need to do something different, and after all, it's me. I'm playing keyboards, but I'm making music. It's a new music I feel that I want to play now. And many years after that, he recorded an album which was collaborations with many singers, ranging from Sting to Christina Aguilera and well, a lot of people, great musicians. And it's all, each song is in a very complete different style than the other. So you say, and this is Herbie Hancock. Yes, it is. It's his album, and he's playing piano, but with all these pop singers.
Yeah, amazing.
Yes, so I felt, yes, that was encouraging. I remember that we don't really need to stick to one style and be there forever. You know? And I think the fight, the inner fight for all artists, is trying to be someone else.
Oh yeah.
I heard that from, I remember Paul McCartney saying that in an interview. And of course, I'm a Beatles fan. I'm saying of course because but well, as if it was implied, but it happened. And I remember an interview where he would say that he was intending to be someone else, and that's how he created the Sgt. Pepper album.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Pretending that there was someone else because they were tired of being themselves, the Beatles, as they were known as the Beatles, and they were, well, the biggest act in the world.
Yeah. You cannot imagine that they can feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And maybe the challenge for the artist could be trying to be someone else every day, which means going further our limits, our own known limits, and that's a challenge.
Yeah, but isn't it also, I think, the fact that you expanded your or that you're sort of thinking outside the norm of what you always did, that brings in itself, this or this freedom that you have to explore all these different things, that brings something, all these different elements then makes you then this artist that you are now.
Yes, I think that the accumulation of experiences.
Yeah.
Well, my impression is that in any aspect of my life, and for the human mind, I think is how it works, that it's the sum of experiences that, well, I'm this guy today here right now sitting talking in front of you because of my past.
Yeah.
And definitely, I agree with that, with the idea. And I think it applies for all the aspects in my life, including music. And when I say, I hear many times, "Oh, you have to be yourself. You have to be yourself." And then I was thinking, I'm tired of being myself.
Oh.
I want to be,
Yeah.
I see myself every day in the mirror, in the bathroom, and believe me that I took a shower today very early in the morning, and in the bathroom there's a mirror, and in the mirror, I saw myself. It was me.
Yeah.
So that guy is following me everywhere.
Everywhere.
So if I want to be myself, well, it's interesting. Yes, be
Yeah.
yourself. No, I'm trying to be someone else, and that's why I'm making music to get to that point.
Yeah. But you know
And
what's so interesting that you say that I did a project here in Vienna over lockdown, and I photographed 500 artists in their windows, so musicians and all different forms of art. Many pianists, many conductors, and the interesting thing is that I can remember everybody, but everybody was different. I didn't mean that in the sense that I heard them play, but as personalities. And I always thought that Vienna's got, of course, many musicians, but because of their personality, they must be, everybody must be unique in a way.
yes, I think that what creates interest uh, for all of us is what something is unique, different, special, like the sense of humor, for example.
Yeah.
When we hear a joke, someone is telling a joke. Well, it's only once. Uh, After we heard it once, it's not going to make us laugh anymore. And I think it's all about hearing something new.
Yeah.
My nervous system has no register about, has no records, and I hear something new, and that's what grabs my attention and makes an impression.
Yeah.
And I think when we say unique, um, I agree with the idea that every human being is unique, and I think it happens because well, the configuration of our minds it's so vast. So I agree with that idea that I heard so many times that each human being is unique, although we all have very, very similar needs, you know. So, well, love, of course, yeah, love.
Yeah. And acknowledgement, I think, is a big thing as well, you know. We need acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But now, Fernando, tell me, I love what you do with the piano.
I'm so sorry.
I love your energy with the piano. It's amazing. And then you also play with the strings of the piano.
Yes. Like
how did you start doing that? I mean, because this is not something that I would ever. I mean, it's wonderful that you do that, but I wouldn't have thought that it's possible.
I see. Well, actually, I saw it many times. Different pianists in the world, yeah. And then at some point, I needed to try to see what happened.
Yeah.
Just for certain little details in the music, and I think it's an interesting feature, but just a little bit, very, very little. I wouldn't be able to play a complete piece, you know.
Yeah.
Strings, but plucking the strings.
Yeah.
Or making noises or other stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to catch mouse who's inside the piano. But not. Yes, it happened because I saw it. I saw many people and many contemporary music as well. Prepared piano, and I said, well, that's too much for me, but I don't know, maybe I was bored.
Oh, okay. But you're very much a performer. I mean, you just go for it.
Yes, that I don't know why it happened that I found pleasure since I was very little. I found pleasure in performing for people. but I was really the child, you know. It happened also. My mother would encourage me to play in front of the small audiences we had at home.
Oh,
Yeah, at
okay.
home we would have parties, and well, she would, and I was there, and there were parties and meetings, musical meetings, very, very often. Not every day, but
Yeah. So you got used to that.
yes. She and I remember my mother encouraging me to play. Also, well, my as a mother, say, "Oh, my child, he's so different." Yes, because it's your child.
Yeah.
He's so special. Yes, mother. Thank you. But you're keep on embarrassing me in front of your friends saying that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I started to be self-conscious about that when I also was a child. And I said, "Oh, don't. Why are you talking so highly about me just because I'm your son?" I remember saying that, which is nothing special after all. But
Mm.
I didn't find any pressure. I just said, "Why are you saying that?" I'm it's just me. But she would encourage me to play in front of, well, not all the time, but
Yeah.
very often.
Mm. But because you look so comfortable in front of the piano. I mean, you look as if you are not nervous, that you just enjoy playing. It looks so effortless. Do you still get nervous?
No, no, no,
No.
no. I used to get nervous for other reasons when I started playing live.
Mm.
And it was not exactly about the playing or the music. It was more about what I was going to say in front of the audience.
Okay.
That really would make me nervous.
Mm.
At the very beginning, at some point, I lost that sense of, I was going to say nervousness, but it's something that it's the expectation I had about myself.
Okay. Mm.
Well, what happens if I say something stupid in front of the audience? Well,
Mm.
I just will do it.
Mm.
I can always apologize. I'm not going to say something terrible, I believe, but my focus was also on being able to transmit ideas and tell good stories and make people have a comfortable experience.
Mm.
Uh, just because I was not thinking too much about that. I just felt, I had the impression that it was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You
Do
know,
you think it's important for musicians to talk to the audience?
depending on the context, could
Mm.
be. I don't believe it's a requirement.
Mm.
It's something. Now I started to think that there's actually no requirements
Mm.
except respect for
Mm.
the experience, for the
Mm.
audience, for ourselves. Why are we making music? Why are we sitting in this case in front of a piano and there's an audience? There's respect for that, a big respect and gratitude. It's a
Mm.
combination of. So after that, that point of departure, respect and gratitude, to release my own expectations of being that perfect. Oh, you
Mm.
have to talk perfectly to the audience, articulated and saying interesting things, to lower that ego expectations and,
Yeah.
well, trying to do my best.
Mm.
I remember being not nervous, but let's say a little bit concerned about
Mm.
what I'm gonna do when I have to talk to the audience.
Mm.
And but I think it's it was all about practice and having more experience about
Yeah.
being on stage, and that came throughout the
Mm.
years. Also because I also found certain, not a routine, but
Mm.
certain aspects I would talk about when I was in front of the audience that I believe made the experience much better for everyone.
Oh yeah, yeah. But now you compose also, or do you just now play the music that you yourself compose, or do you still play a lot of classical music as well?
No, I don't play classical music at all.
Oh, really?
Only sometimes when I'm practicing, I don't know if it's exactly the word I use in my inner dialogue when I sit on the piano and play. Uh, when I'm by myself, I play classical music, but otherwise, I don't. Actually, I never played classical music on stage.
Oh, okay.
Never. Uh, I always tried to play my own compositions or involved in projects that were original music. I barely played. Yeah, well, never is too much, but I, I never played, let's say, Bach or Mozart or Beethoven.
Oh, okay. And now your inspiration, how do you get your inspiration to compose? What is usually the thing that that drives you to compose something?
That's interesting. I don't know. Yes, I think it's the need for having certain piece of music. Example would be, sorry, if I need a fast rhythm, fast tempo piece for what I'm doing, or something that I found in the instrument, or something I heard. I heard a piece of music somewhere, and then I said, "Oh, I want to have a piece like that one,"
Oh, okay.
but not to clone the piece. I mean, the spirit of the piece, or the combination of elements, but not necessarily the musical speech. So that could be maybe the inspiration, but it's not about. I would say, "Oh, my girlfriend left me, and then
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna write a song or a piece." In fact, I did that. I did that when I was 14. I remember I had a girlfriend, and she left me, and then a friend of mine told me, "You have to use the power of music, and you're gonna win her back."
Okay.
And I wrote the
And
piece, and I played the piece for her, and definitely the music is absolutely powerful. Music is unbelievable. She never came back to
oh,
me.
okay.
That music is still very strong. Yep. Facebook friends.
Oh, okay. But do you need a quiet to compose, or can you compose under pressure, or do you have to sort of be on your own and it all has to be quiet around you?
No. It is much better if it's. I mean, I'm not in a public place or.
No, yeah, but I mean, just like, does it have to be a time period where you have nothing to do so that you can be calm and or can you think and be inspired between all the busy times in your life?
That's also a very good question. What happens? No, when I have to write something, which happens every week, different reasons and different projects and things happening. I just find the place, which in general is my studio. In general, is a studio, and the time, well, both. I find them, and when I have pressure, that sometimes I do, because I have to finish something and I have a deadline, or there's something, or someone's coming to play, or there's a recording we need to do before touring, for example. And then I just sit down and do it. because
Okay.
it's not about inspiration. In that case, it's about just sitting. In general, I do it sitting. Sometimes I'm standing in front of the computer or the piano, and I just do it without thinking too much. I just need to have this done. I want to have this done. And there's an inner force, which is also part of the ego, I think. But the good side of the ego, the one which is the doer, the one who makes things happen, to get things done, is the ego that works, not the ego that is related to pride and some other aspects. No, the ego that it's the friendly part of that side. You know, the one who makes things happen.
Yeah, it was also for me interesting during lockdown. I spoke to a few composers and also choreographers, and I thought that that time, you know, that quiet time would be wonderful, you know, for some people to write music. And also many said that they needed this. They didn't particularly feel so much inspired in when everything is quiet, that they need this sort of hustle and bustle and, you know, this everyday life, and that brings the inspiration for them.
Absolutely, I understand that. I definitely understand that. Well, when the environment is much more quiet than usual, I think all the demons, let's say, have more room to talk, and their voices could be much louder. And so I understand that. In my case, I'm talking always about my experience. In lockdown, part of the lockdown was I was completely by myself. That happened. It was going to happen anyway because I had planned a retreat, and I had planned the retreat to study and to do a few things. And suddenly, the world is collapse, and I would get messages from them. Oh, this is the doomsday, is the end of the world. And I thought, I have been living in the end of the world for my whole life. I have always been in a lockdown, in a way.
Oh, really?
So, in a way, there was a difference knowing that the pace in the world had changed. And I felt, I also felt that impression that, well, what's going to happen now? Well, mankind will recover, as usually. But I remember while I was in the first 2 months of the lockdown, I said, there's no big difference. But around me, everything has changed. I could hear the birds in New York. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's like you said also, you things you know, you experimented with things in music that you during that time that now is part of your music genre.
Yes, because that continued. I have less live shows that I had before the pandemic. I mean, I have many more shows in comparison. But I have more, let's say, online experiences making music than before.
And collaborations, which is wonderful.
Yes. Being in touch with people and enriching our lives.
Yeah. Well, look at just us talking now. That wouldn't have happened before lockdown, probably, you know, because we never really used Zoom.
absolutely. And for in my case, social media in general. I was another social media person, and I saw most of my friends and people I know. They were very much into that, and they would tell me, Instagram, for example, you need to be on Instagram, and I wouldn't do anything. I actually started like 1 year ago to really post stuff, and not with the frequency I heard is required in order to have a social media life. But in my case, Facebook and Instagram, I always find them excellent, fantastic. I think they're great tools for humanity. Great. But I was not very much into that. I felt that they required a lot of time, and my attention span was also, suffering. That just because I didn't know how to approach that. It's not about the elements. I think the elements are great. I just didn't find a way to use them without feeling that I was distracted or using too much energy. And I was not really enjoying the experience. But with the lockdown, I started slowly, gradually to enjoy the social media. And finally, last year, I really started, not even a year ago, I really started posting posting to everything. I was never there.
Well, I'm so happy you did, because this is where I found you.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I love to watch those videos that you post. Because I love how you perform.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, Fernando, tell me, you've done so much already, but do you still, is there a dream? Do you have a dream?
Yeah, I have lists of
Okay.
another list. I have a few different lists of dreams, which involve all the aspects of my life. It's not only about music, but of course, musically speaking, there's a lot of things that I want to do. I'm not satisfied at all. I don't know if satisfaction is the right word for this, but the impression that I have, it's not that I have to achieve or I have to do something or certain things in order to feel. I think it's a never-ending story. That it's what keeps ourselves alive, wanting more.
Yeah.
The need for more, and it's something that for me doesn't have an explanation. It's just an emotion. I just want to do something. So I have a ton list of dreams.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
But I don't. I be able to say, well, give me an example. Well, I don't know. It's overwhelming.
Oh, okay. But I'm glad there's a long list, because then I'm going to see much more of what you do on Instagram.
Yes. And now I really started. Well, someone is doing that work for me, which is putting together all videos and hard drives with videos, and there's a lot of materials that I think they are worthy to share with people, but it's a lot of work to find them and put them together properly.
But have you ever performed in Vienna?
Yes.
You have?
It was before the pandemic, of course. Some years from now, I don't remember the place. I also remember one place that I played that was a theater, and the radio was there. There's some radio.
ORF radio?
I don't remember exactly, but it was kind of, I think it was. And it was a live program also. It was not only the show, which had a lot of people, an audience, a beautiful audience, kind of theater.
Okay.
But the radio was live. I remember that, and I also played it somewhere else. It was always also a theater.
But
I don't remember.
will you put this on your list, on your wish list or your dream list, that you come again to Vienna? I would love
Yes,
to see you in concert.
and I remember having a great time in Vienna. Yeah, enjoying. And
yeah, it's a beautiful city.
Yes. How long have you been in Vienna?
Pardon?
How long have you been in
Since
Vienna?
2015. So, but I missed your concert. You'll have to come again.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was 2015 when I was there.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure about the date, but it was sort of. But I'm looking forward to go there again.
Yeah, I really wish you would come. But Fernando, it was so lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. And I hope to meet you in person one day.
Absolutely. That's going to happen, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks again.
It's a pleasure, and have a lovely afternoon.
And you have a wonderful night, I think.
Yeah, it's almost night here.